Welcome to the first Met Office 10-day trend of meteorological summer. Trends are always tricky to pick out at this time of year. Throw into the mix a 4-day bank holiday weekend and you know that's going to be producing a fair few headaches. Let's get on to what we do know, because for most places Thursday is going to be a fine day. High pressure is trying to move in from the Atlantic, but it's a fairly weak affair. A weather front is also pushing in, and that will bring some rain to Northern Ireland. And then it's a balancing act as we go through Friday and into Saturday and Sunday, with the high pressure dominating across the north. But how far low pressure and weather fronts push in across the south? That is the big question mark, with some models pushing them right across the country by the end of Sunday, but most keeping the weather fronts and the low pressure systems further south. Why the uncertainty? Why the complications? Well, for that, as usual, we need to look high up in the atmosphere and take a look at the jet stream. And it really isn't doing much, no strong signals, which is one of the problems. That's fairly typical at this time of year. The jet gets stronger through autumn and summer. But we can pick out a couple of features. There is an arm of the jet stream, a fairly weak one, pushing down to the west, and there is this dip in the jet stream further south. And it's how those two combine as they come together during Friday and Saturday that are the source of the uncertainty, and in particular where this low pressure high up in the atmosphere where the jet stream is forms and its exact shape. It could allow the warmer air to push further north if it's a little bit further west. But the most likely scenario is that the really warm air stays further south across the continent, but at times we see plumes of warm air bringing the risk of some showers across the south, in particular on Saturday and Sunday. Let me give you a couple of examples to show you the uncertainty for Sunday. This is a snapshot for the middle of Sunday. This is the UK model suggesting that, yes, the showers could be pushing further north, and some of them could be on the heavy side, but the heaviest showers there across the near continent. Whereas the European model has more of a blocked pattern. It keeps these weather fronts at bay out in the Atlantic, and it keeps that warm plume and the cloud and the showers more across the south, allowing the high pressure to hold on across Scotland and Northern Ireland. So still quite a bit of uncertainty, particularly about Saturday and Sunday. What we do know is that Thursday, by and large, going to be a fine day up and down the land for the Jubilee. Warmer than it has been. There will be some cloud and rain for Northern Ireland, a few showers in western areas on Friday, but generally a lot of dry weather for the first half of the long weekend. Then the uncertainty grows as we go through Saturday and Sunday. So if you've got plans for either Saturday or Sunday that involve being outside, please keep up to date with the forecast. This is still 4 or 5 days ahead. We are looking at largely fine conditions persisting for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but increasing cloud further south and an increasing chance of seeing some showers, which could be heavy and thundery. It depends on the position of that plume of warm air coming up from the south. So as I said, if you do have plans, and many of us will for this weekend, stay up to date with the forecast, follow the Met Office across social media. What happens beyond that? This is the 10-day trend after all, so we're not just focused on the Jubilee weekends. Well, then we have a bit of a battleground into next week between low pressure out to the west and high pressure out to the east, and how far the low pressure system comes in. I mean, a lot will depend on what happens high up in the atmosphere over the weekend and which of the computer models is right. But it looks like this is the general setup, certainly for the second half of next week, with high pressure to the east, low pressure to the west, and the jet stream likely still to be fairly weak, but in a more what we call amplified position. And when it's like this, it means the weather patterns are fairly slow moving. We're not going to have low pressure systems zipping all over us. This is the most likely scenario then, with slow moving weather systems, low pressure out into the Atlantic, high pressure more dominant closer to the UK. But it wouldn't take much to shift that just a little bit further east, and then we'd have the low pressure influencing things a little bit more and the high pressure kind of only affecting parts of the east. In either of those scenarios, just with a shift, with the winds going round low pressure like this and round high pressure like this, it means across the UK we are likely to have something of a southerly flow, the winds coming up from the south, which means it is likely to be warmer, certainly warmer than it has been for much of this week so far. Which will win out, the high or the low pressure? Well, these are the stacked probabilities from the European model, where reds and oranges is high pressure, blue is low pressure. And you can see that high pressure is expected to dominate, certainly for the first half of next week, but come the latter part of next week, it gets much more 50-50. So it's hard to tell which of those will dominate, the high pressure to the east or the low pressure to the west. But that southerly wind I was talking about, that is likely to come off, and that's shown in this trend charts, the probabilistic meridional trend. That's basically suggesting whether we're going to have northerly winds or southerly winds, with blue being northerly and red being southerly. Previous computer model runs down here. The forecast going ahead to the future there. And you can see that switch as we go through the weekend into next week. We're much more likely to have the reds and the southerly flow of air, which means it is likely that temperatures will be around or above average next week, certainly warmer than this week. The most likely scenario is that certainly for the first half of the week, high pressure will dominate, and particularly across eastern areas. That means lots of dry and fine weather, with that low at times just nibbling in from the west, bringing a greater risk of rain into western areas. As I said, still quite a bit of uncertainty, particularly about this weekend and Saturday and Sunday. So stay up to date with the forecasts, enjoy your Jubilee, and the best way, of course, to stay up to date is to follow us across social media.